Is that better? Fire's going, you lie here, then you're getting a bit of a brush, aren't you?
Hello everybody and welcome back to the chateau at the start of the new year. It's 2025. I hope everybody had a fantastic break. New Year's Eve, really enjoyed themselves and are ready for the new year and all the fantastic things that shall bring. Now, I want to show you inside the chapel because it comes up on a regular basis. So I think we all know, there's the chateau, there's the chapel, so it's out over the bridge. We all know where it is, and I'm sure we've all seen it in the drone footage. We've seen old bits because it falls down straight into the moat on one side, so it's quite difficult to look after. And it's not really got much use in the modern age, has it? But it does sit out here quite pretty. And of course this I'm walking down what was the aisle. Used this, got married outside it, not in it. So, and this was the aisle. It's a very pretty thing actually, even though it's very simple. If you look at, say, like the one at Billy's Chateau, it's much more ornate, and especially inside. But this is quite simple, and this was just a private chapel for the owners, and that is 3 wolf's heads, and that's the symbol of the area. And when I say it literally is, we'll be a bit careful. That's the moat. It's straight down. I mean, you see how bad it is. Old photographs, you can see there's a slight wall here. Well, I think some of it's been taken away over the years, and it's fallen in, stuff's grown through it, because of course it had all been dry stone, and it's a shame because it used to be much more ornate. I actually think on the other side you might be able to see it a bit better. It's a pretty thing. I love the wind vane up there as well, but it is, it's a pretty thing. It's only got 2 windows, same as this. This side's easy enough to look after, but the on the back isn't. Some little steps down there. But, so you literally fall straight in. So I think, how did I do it? Did I do it from there? I've done the window on this before. I had to fix a pane of glass. I had to get a cherry picker to all the way down the side of it. Now, so, decent roof, structure's not bad, and this is where you're all about to get upset with me as I let you all inside. Though, see, that's just open for air, but birds still do get into this somewhere. Right. I still think this is a good idea. Oh, come on then. No, actually, just before I go in, I'm going to reiterate something. This is not consecrated. It is not God's house, and it is the only place that I've got which is secure here. Right, and I'm trying to do something about it. Yeah, so I have now been waiting for a year for someone to come and empty the container, which is where all of this was supposed to go. It was supposed to go there at the end of last party, and that's why it was dotted around everywhere to try to keep this place empty. However, it is still being looked after, and there is nothing getting destroyed by this stuff being in here. It just happens to be the only place that I have that is lockable and dry, and thankfully not full of rodents, so that the gardener's cottage at the top, you just couldn't get everything up there because you can't get a trailer anywhere near it, and lots of stuff is heavy. So yeah, the event stuff is in here. You see, the games, it's all put in places where nothing else in the chapel's getting damaged, but I want it all out. I want to be able to do something with this because it's been deteriorating for long before I got here, which you can tell down here. I mean, this has been going for a very, very long time because the moisture wicks up here from the outside, from the moat. Unlike the chateau, the water level is very close to the foundations of this, whereas the chateau, it's a long way, which is why we don't have a problem inside the chateau, but we do out here. But it's such a pretty little chapel, which I would like to do something with. Again, I'm not really 100% sure about the red roof. It's a bit like the gym, but that is not really of an issue. That's all good up there. We just need render in places because it's very, as you can see, that split and whatever birds managed to get in from there. It's going in all sorts of places up here, but it has some beautiful things which are still here and still being looked after, despite the fact I've got stuff in here. So obviously I've made sure there's nothing against these. These are various bits and pieces. The altar there, that's very pretty. We've still got the lectern over there. This sort of candle chandelier, and rather annoyingly, about a week after I go through all of the hassle with the cherry picker to change one of those panes of glass, because they're from the outside, another one went. So I want to get that all sorted and this all arranged, but I need to get all of this stuff down to the workshop first. So that will give you a quick view inside there and explain why I don't show it very often. There's nothing to show. It's full of stuff. And I hate the fact it's full of stuff and waiting for a year to be able to, and still not be able to get into a container which is supposed to be for all of that storage is a bit of a pain. But I'm sure that'll change shortly. Things never go according to plan. That's not the end of the world. But what is a good example of the issues with this place and the amount of money and time that needs spent on it, despite the fact it looks good? It is something I've always mentioned. You can move into this, you can live in this. I do, very comfortably at times. But it still needs huge amounts of money spent on it and work. Unlike a complete ruin where you can already see where the money and work needs to be. Here it's subtle. So that always here will come back to the moat, the lack of maintenance over a great many years with nature, and people doing terrible jobs. And here it always comes back to when they drained the moat and broke the sluice gate and bricked it up. There are of course others. You might be able, I can see my boat there. That's the big tube, would have had the sluice gate in. It's over there. I unblock it on a regular basis because you can't lower the water level anymore, because you can't raise the sluice gate, which you can see in the old postcard when this was nice, clean and clear, which allows you to drain vast amounts of water quickly from a lower down, so you don't all the fish come to the top. It's the safe way of doing it, and you can lower the water level as low as you want. So you just open it for a bit, let the water level drain down a good couple of feet, doesn't get too much, easy to drain. The other thing here is, of course, everything growing everywhere. Well, here you go, look. This place used to have a wall up here, you know, and again, the postcards show it bit by bit with things growing through it and going, all before I got here, of course, that's all fallen in. It could be rebuilt, but the water level is actually supposed to be a good, at least, yeah, it's got to be a foot lower than that it's supposed to be, or certainly this time of year, which I can't do without redoing the sluice gate, and I can't get permission to drain the moat. So everything that you see that's been left to go is just in a situation where we can't do anything about it without getting permission to drain the moat and then spending huge amounts of money dealing with it. This chapel, well, proper drainage around the outside of it needs putting in, so it would drain into the moat, because it does, obviously, it will soak in here. There's no damp proof, of course. There wouldn't be. If you had the moat drained, you would be able to do something about everything down here as well. But it's something we can't do right this second. Back there is another drain for the moat, and that would be able to take more water out, but roots have grown through it because people have let stuff grow too much. And then of course, let's not get the very far end where there is that beautiful little bridge with the writing on it, and that's the access to the camping area for the parties, and that no longer goes, and you're on the other side because they've diverted the exit to go through the lake out the front rather than down the side for irrigation for the field. So there is just much harder to get rid of water here. Doesn't affect the chateau, which is why no one has ever done anything about it, because it doesn't affect the building that everyone lives in. Everything else is just falling apart. So I need to get this done. I'm finally explaining it to you. It's a beautiful little place to sit and look out. I mean, it's actually one of my favourite views, this very little green bench, because I get to see it all. Well, obviously not this time of year, but you know, you get the idea. And the building itself's in good condition. I mean, it did actually have here, it had some conifers and they were growing into the structure, so they went. And now it's getting light, it's much drier. This end's good. You know, the building itself is good. It now just needs proper drainage around it, and the biggest thing that we need to do here, which is drain the moat and rebuild some walls. So that is Little Chapel. I will show you all of the little intricate details, everything, when it is cleared out and I can be proud of it again. Because at the moment, I have to ask myself for forgiveness for putting stuff in there in the same way as I ask you. It's just, there is simply nowhere to put all of that very expensive stuff that's safe for outside reasons. But it's also the reason why I've got the workshop with the containers for storage and all the rest of it. So hopefully there's a little bit more explained, and I still wouldn't be able to do anything with it this time of year. What it needs is, as I said, water level down, drainage around it, do something about I mean, it's nice to have the air going through, but birds still get through that netting. And it would be a good idea to actually close that off and have some form of very, very mild heating, possibly run off hydroelectric power from the water escaping in a battery pack. Who knows? Maybe that's just a bit too much. Maybe just reducing the moat level and getting decent drainage around it will solve the problem. But to begin with, I need to get emptied, then I want to do some stuff with it. I want to clear it out, and then it can sit there and just be looked after. It doesn't all have to be constantly renovated. Now, thank you all for watching. I hope you're all getting on with your, well, clearing up from the new year mainly and getting back into normal life. So, thanks so much for all the kind words. Thanks so much for the comments. Thanks so much for everyone watching. And I will see you all tomorrow while I try to get on with some of the things that I promise I'll do this January. See you next time. Bye now.